Yeah, let's cover absolute and relative change. All right, so the definition of absolute change is the actual difference between two numbers. If the answer is positive, the value is increasing. If the answer is negative, the value is decreasing. You will not answer with a sign of positive or negative in your answer. All of your answers will not have a negative sign. They will be using the words decreasing, or if they are positive in answerings, you'll use the words increasing. So you're going to use words, sentences to answer these problems. Here's your first example. If you had 5 apples yesterday and 8 apples today, the absolute change is 3 more apples. It's a positive 3. That means they increased by 3 from yesterday to today. The way that I like to show this, especially going into your next class after this one, is the formula absolute change is the new value minus the old value. If you go the other way around, it's going to be the opposite sign of what it needs to be. If you want to think about it like this, absolute change is how much did it change? Okay. So starting off with my first one, we're just doing absolute change, which is this, the difference. The average price of a gallon of gas in Jamestown in June 2014 was $3.71. The average price in July was $3.64. Find the absolute change. Well, that's just going to be the absolute change is the new value minus the old value. This one was in June of 2014. This one was in July. So the newest value is the July one. So you're going to want July, and then you're going to want June's, right? Because July happens after June. So in July, it was 364. And in June, it was 371. Subtract the 2. And I got negative 0.07. Now, this is what? This is dollars. That means the dollar per gallon rate went down, or the dollar per gallon went down, or is decreased by 7 cents between June and July. So you're going to find the absolute change. You're going to say a gallon of gas, or the price of a gallon of gas you could go as far as saying in Jamestown, decreased, because we're going to use the words either decreased or increased. Well, it's negative, so decreased by, don't forget your dollar sign, 0.07 per gallon. Okay. Next one you're going to do, it's the population of a city was about 672,000 in 2010. The population of a city projected to be about 630,000 in 2020. And you want to find the absolute change using new minus old. Pause the video, attempt this one yourself, and come back and see how you did. So what I'm going to do is figure out which one's new. The new one happens in 2020. The old one happens in 2010. So 630,000 minus the old value of 672,000. Just subtract those two. And I get 42,000, negative 42,000. So this has to do with the population. So we're going to say the population decreased because it's negative by 42,000. The decrease takes care of the negative, so you don't have to put by negative 42,000. We never write a negative sign in word problems. Last year, Harmony's salary was $42,000. Because of furlough days, this year her salary was $37,800. Find the absolute change. Pause the video and attempt this one yourself. Okay, her new value, the new salary is $37,800. Her old salary was $42,000. We just subtract these two. minus 42,000. And I got negative 4,200. So it says this year her salary, so her salary decreased by 4,200 what? Dollars. Okay, let's go to the next one. If you find you have questions as I'm going through this, or you're getting different answers and you want to go discuss it with me, please make a note of it and come talk to me. Danica's hourly pay at the South Dayton supermarket went from $15.50 to $17.55, and this is all per hour, because it's their hourly pay. Find the absolute change. New minus old. Her new value, her new salary, or her new hourly wage is $17.55. And her old one is $15.50. We just subtract these two. Nope. $17.55. And I got $2.05. Notice it's positive. So Danica's hourly pay increased because it's positive by what? Don't forget your dollar sign, $2.05 per hour. Okay. Or you could just say $2.05. Make sure and do not forget the dollar sign. Pause the video and do this next one after I read it. The population of a town in 2005 was 3,850, and in 2012, the population was 5,900. Find the absolute change. Pause the video and go attempt it yourself and come back and see how you did. Absolute is just new minus old. The new value happens in 2012, and that's 5,900. The old value happened in 2005, and that's 3,850. And I got 2050. 2050. So the population, it's positive, so it increased by 2,050. Okay. At Tim Hortons, the price of a latte changed from $3.79 to $4.48. Find the absolute change. Pause the video and attempt this one yourself. New minus old. All right. The new value is the higher price, $4.48. The old value is the $3.79. We need to subtract the two. And I got 0.69. So the absolute change is the price of a latte increased because it's positive by, don't forget your dollar sign, 0.69, so 69 cents. All right, last one. And this one's you as well. Akbar was shopping for a shirt at BAM Men's Clothing Store in Trenton, New Jersey. A shirt originally marked for $24.95 rings up the register for $19.96. Find the absolute change. New value minus old value. Okay, pause the video and attempt this one yourself. The new value is $19.96. The old value is $24.95. Just need to subtract these two. And I got negative 4.99. So I'm going to say the shirt price decreased because it's negative by, don't forget your dollar sign, $4.99. All right. I'm going to pause the video for just a minute. I'll be right back. Definition. Now we're going to talk about relative change. Relative change is always a percent. Right now, we've just been talking about everything that's actual change. All right. Relative change tells us how big that change is compared to what you started with, compared to the original value. It is always answered as a percent symbol. Always, always, always. Here's an example, using the apples, where we had 5 one day and the next day we had 8, so we gained 3. 3 is a little more than a half of 5, so your apples grew by about 60%, and this is how we find that out. To find out what percentage or relative change it is, you take 3, what the absolute change was, divide it by the original value of 5, and that's equal to 0.6. We don't want a decimal version, we want a percent. So we need to change the decimal to a percent by multiplying by 100 and adding the percent sign. Now there's 2 ways to go about solving relative change. This one is the one we're going to be using because we already have done the absolute changes. We're going to go back and take everything we've done and now find the relative change from the same problems. If you don't need to find the absolute change, then you can come over here and start and just solve for the relative change. The new value minus the old value divided by the old value. Then you're going to multiply by 100 and add a percent. I'll show you what to do. Think of it this way. Relative change is how big was the change compared to where I started. The price, okay, back to what we did earlier. The average price of a gallon of gas in Jamestown in June of 2014 was $3.71. The average price in July was $3.64. Now we're going to find the relative change. I'm going to go back real quick to find the absolute change, and that was negative 0.07. So my absolute change was negative 0.07. And to find my relative change, that is going to be my absolute change divided by the old value, which is $3.71, because that happened in June. So negative 0.07 divided by 3.71 is, oh, we don't want this. We want a percent. So to go from a decimal to a percent, we need to multiply this by 100. So times 100. All right, I got negative 1.88. So we're going to round that to negative 1.9%. Now to answer the sentence for the question, we're going to say the price of a gallon, the price, I use the same thing I used earlier. The price of a gallon of gas now it decreased because it's negative, decreased by 1.9%. You do not put decreased by negative 1.9%. That is it. The population of a city was about 672,000 in 2010. The population of the city is projected to be about 630,000 in 2020. Find the relative change. Now, the absolute change was negative 42,000. Pause the video and find the relative change using my example to guide you. Okay, so the relative change is the absolute change, 2, 3, divided by the original value, which is 672,000. And then we're going to multiply that by 100. Put this in your calculator. You're going to go negative 42,000 divided by 672,000 equals times 100 equals. And I got negative 6.25. To write this as a sentence, I'm going to use the same sentence I did earlier. The population decreased by. So the population decreased by 6.25, and don't forget that percent. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Last year, Harmony's salary was $42,000. Because of furlough days this year, her salary was $37,800. Find the relative change. Her absolute change was negative 4,200. All right, pause the video, go find her relative change. It's going to be negative 4,200 divided by the original amount, 42,000. And then we're going to multiply that by 100. So negative 4,200 divided by 42,000 equals times 100 equals, and I got -10. I'm using the same sentence. Her salary decreased by, her salary decreased by 10%. Okay. Now we're at Danica's hourly pay, went from $15.50 to $17.55. Find the relative change. Her absolute change was $2.05. So her relative is $2.05 divided by the old value of $15.50. And then you're going to multiply that times 100. 2.05 divided by 15.5 equals times 100 equals. And I got 13.2. Same sentence. Danica's hourly pay increased by. Danica's hourly pay increased, because it's positive, by 13.2, and don't forget your percent sign. All right. The population of a town in 2005 was 3,850. In 2012, the population was 5,900. Find the relative change. Well, the absolute change is 2,050. Pause the video and attempt this one yourself. Okay, the relative change is going to be 2,050 divided by the original value, 3,850, and then times 100 to change it to a percent. 2050 divided by 3,850 equals times 100. Oh, nope. Let's try this again. 2050 divided by 3,850 equals times 100 equals. And I got 53.2. And this is a percent. Writing our sentence, we said the population increased by. And we're just going to say 53.2%. The next one is at Tim Hortons. The price of a latte changed from $3.79 to $4.48. To find the relative change, we need to know the absolute change. I'm going to go back and tell you what that is, and then I want you to pause your video. And that was 69 cents. Pause the video, attempt this one yourself, and come back and see how you did. Relative change is going to be the absolute divided by the old value, 379, times 100. So 0.69 divided by 3.79 equals, and then times 100. And I got 18.2%. Same sentence, the price of a latte increased by. Price of a latte increased by 18.2%. Last one. Oh, it's on my screen. Car was shopping for a shirt at Bam Simmons clothing store in Trenton, New Jersey. A shirt originally marked for $24.95 brings up the register for $19.96. To find the relative change, we need to know that the absolute change was -4.99. All right, pause the video and attempt this one yourself and come back and see how you did. Relative is going to be -4.99 divided by the original price of $24.95. And then all of that times 100. -4.99 divided by 24.95 equals, and then times 100 equals, and I got -20%. So the shirt price decreased by, or the shirt was discounted at, you choose the words, the shirt price decreased by 20%. No, it decreased because it's negative. All right, that's it for this lecture. If you have any questions, please let me know.